Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'arei Yehuda, hinei Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
Hello, we're continuing with Derech Hashem, and last time we talked about the holidays, what the Jewish holidays mean in general, how there's a special infusion of spirituality and holiness on these days that enables us to get closer to God. Now we're going to the section that is talking about the specific mitzvos of each holiday, and I think we'll maybe have the classes a little shorter so that each class we can focus on a specific holiday, and even though it's not the holiday maybe this time of year, it's definitely something we could learn from. So we're on page 642 of the Naaman edition, which is section 4, chapter 8, and number 1. And the first holiday we'll be talking about is Pesach, Passover, which is not so far away. Inyan chametz v'matzahu. So what is chametz and matzah, the leaven and the matzah? Kihine. Ad Yetzias Mitzrayim, hayu Yisrael me'oravim b'shar umos, goy b'karev goy. Before the exodus from Egypt, the Jewish people were mixed amongst the other nations. U'b'tziyasam yigalu v'nivdalu. And by the exodus from Egypt, they were redeemed and separated. V'hinei. Ad oso azman hayu kol bechinos gufos b'nei adam chashuchos b'choshech v'zuama shehai misgaber aleim. Before this time, people, they were overcome with darkness and zuama, which zuama is a certain spiritual impurity that people had. Ubi yitzia nivdul Yisrael, and at the exodus from Egypt, the Jewish people were separated. V'nizmenu gufasam l'taher u'lizdamen l'torah avoda, and their bodies became ready and purified for Torah and service of Hashem. And based on this idea, we're commanded to destroy chametz and to eat matzah. So something we've discussed many times before is that when Adam and Eve sinned, the original sin of Genesis, zuama, certain spiritual impurities entered the world, and all of reality changed. Now, the beginning of the process to return to the state of Adam before he sinned happened at the leaving of Egypt. The leaving of Egypt was an elevation spiritually that zuama, which was initially put into humanity after Adam and Eve sinned, became extricated, became separated from the Jewish people. So in addition to being a physical redemption of Egypt, it was more importantly a spiritual redemption which enabled the beginning, which was the beginning of the process, to return to the point of Adam and Eve before they sinned, and to get to the point in human history when all of humanity will recognize that God is one. V'hainu. Now, how is that related to chametz and matzah? Those are very nice ideas, but what do these ideas have to do with chametz and matzah? V'hainu. Kihine, halechem shehuchan l'mazon ha'adam hu mishtava be'emes l'matzah v'nirtze ba'adam. People eat food that's prepared, it's pleasing for their bodies. Bread tastes good and it's easy on the digestive system. And people need that. People need to eat good food because human beings, as we've mentioned also many times, are physical creatures, and they need to have food which is pleasing to their physical bodies. Amnam, for a certain specific time, the Jewish people need to abstain from chametz, which is this very pleasing food on the body, and to eat matzah. In order so that they should decrease the strength of the evil inclination and their the part that pulls them towards physicality. And to strengthen within themselves the closeness to closen themselves to spirituality. So we see that we are weakening on Pesach. We eat matzah because we are weakening the strength of the evil inclination and of physicality, and therefore we eat matzah, which is this more spiritual food. Because what happened on Pesach? We were separated from the nations, and we became purified to the point, and we lost that original zuama, that original Yetzirah, that original tumah that we had, we lost at the leaving of Egypt. So every year we abstain from that physical food to weaken further the strength of the Yetzer Hara. And if you look in the Maimer HaChachma, actually I'll put a link below. Rabbi Naaman also translated the Ramchal's work Maimer HaChachma, and he talks about the meaning of the mitzvahs in the Seder, which he's not going to get into now. But he actually writes how each year at the Seder is like we take an axe. It's like cutting down a tree, because every year at the Seder we get a little closer and we do another hit to get closer to the final redemption. It's not just commemorating, but every subsequent year is another step in the process, I guess, of weakening the Yetzer Hara and getting to that final redemption. So why don't we just eat matzah all the time? It's such a great food. So he says that's impossible. This is not what Hashem wants. Certain days of the year we could do it. And we can get to that specific level. So something we've talked about is that how we're primarily, most of the days of the year are physical days, are called the mundane days. We only have a few days of Shabbos and Yantiv, because primarily we have to be in a physical world. So God doesn't want us to be, eating matzah and totally detaching ourselves from the physical. Rather, we're supposed to use the physical to reach the spiritual. But certain days of the year, like Pesach, Passover, we elevate ourselves through eating the matzah. Wow, I almost wish Pesach was... kind of want Pesach to happen right now. When you read about how special it is. This is the main idea of Pesach. And all the other details of the mitzvah of the night have specific reasons, corresponding to their specificity, specific reasons about these specific redemptions. So the Ramchal here was just talking about the general idea of Passover and chametz and matzah, but obviously there are many, many more mitzvahs of the Seder and whatnot. So that he expands a little bit more, like we mentioned on Maimer HaChachma, which I'll put the link in the description below. If anyone has any questions, please reach out, and wishing everyone a beautiful day.